Well, good morning and welcome to Mirador Television, broadcasting outside of the White Hart Hotel in Lewes, East Sussex. And the stories this morning on most of the newspapers is Madeleine McCann, a new search for her after fresh evidence tip-off. Who knows? But there is a search of a lake, and it is exercising the minds of the front page editors from well, just across the board. There are one or two that diverge from this story, but there we go with the Daily Express, which says the police search reservoir for Madeline, and the mainly the papers are saying that there is new information, and the police and the authorities are following it up. They've taken that serious a view. So what the Express says is that police search reservoir for Madeline, as you can see, and divers searched the reservoir once before in 2008, following an underworld tip-off, according to the Daily Express. The paper says that a drought in the area means water levels at the reservoir are unusually low, and that detectives from Scotland Yard are understood to be on hand with a watching brief. So there we are. That's the Daily Express, its take on it. There's a different headline in the Times, which says a green quango is blocking new homes. Well, that's the sort of thing they do, isn't it? So let's see what that newspaper has to say. The Times says that Natural England, the public body responsible for protecting the country's landscape, has been accused of blocking 160,000 new homes and helping to push house building into its lowest level since the 1920s. The paper says the agency has led 74 councils to block developments that couldn't show they would not pollute local water systems, and that the cost of meeting the requirements makes house building impractical. Well, that's an issue here in Lewes as well. So we should take that on board. Let's have a look at now the Metro. We go back to a new hunt for Maddie, and that is in several of the newspapers this morning. Now, as the Daily Mail looks at something that's fairly sinister on the surface. It says there's a plot to drive out an equality chief who's standing up for women, and the story is that staff at the Equalities Watchdog, the Equality and Human Rights Commission, have been accused of trying to oust its chairwoman, Baroness Faulkner, over her stance on transgender issues. Here he goes again, transgender issues. The paper says a dossier of more than 40 complaints against a peer has been compiled, but that some within the organization think she is being targeted because she backed legal reforms guarding the rights of biological women in single-sex spaces, such as hospitals and toilets. That makes sense to me. And if I hear little Timmy toes, good morning. Oh, come on in. Yes. Are you here for a few minutes?
I'm here for a few minutes. I was just wondering whether I might leave a bag here. I'll tell you why, because I've got to.
You may indeed.
I need to pop over the road and then make a dash for a train to Guildford. Are you online? Or
No, we're live, so don't swear.
As if I ever would. Look, evidence.
Oh, evidence, yes, I'm afraid so. It's always good to, as you know, we are very flexible. I spent some time with our business advisor yesterday. We talked about this flexibility, and one of the things that makes us unique is that you never know what's going to happen on this television station. So here we are in the middle of a review of the newspapers, and what happens is the chief hangman comes in.
I'm not quite sure I fall into that category. So I'm suited and booted. I'm across the road briefly this morning.
Are you able to say what sort of case you're looking at?
That case is an unpleasant assault. What's sometimes called a glassing, where somebody breaks a bottle or a glass and uses it.
Goes at the face, yeah.
Yeah, it's a weapon of offence. And then this afternoon I'm elsewhere starting another trial. Hopefully, fingers crossed, in another location.
All right. It keep you busy, don't they?
Yeah, and that involves, oddly enough, because we spoke about it yesterday, it involves somebody who died as a result of a road traffic collision. Somebody completely without blame on their part. There's no question about that. So, in fact, it falls in that category that we were talking about yesterday: death by careless driving plus alcohol. Yeah. Now, where's your scooter, man?
Sorry?
Where's your scooter?
It's being delivered at 11:30 this morning. So actually, I will finish the program, rush out, hop onto a bus, go home, and within minutes, I should see my new scooter.
Do you have L plates for it?
No, but I should have.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, the street, it's not so much the streets, it's the pavements at Lewes that worry me.
I think everybody in Lewes should be worried, believe me. I need an L plate on my shopping cart, for God's sake. Anyway, I have some reasonably good news for you. Is that a couple of your programs, particularly on the app next door, are showing 400 or 500 people tapping in to take a look at you. I don't know that they stay with you for the whole time. It doesn't tell us that, but at least you're intriguing people enough.
I do have a big family. My mother was a Catholic, so that might explain why that's happening. Keith, I'm going to have to
love me and leave me.
Yeah, but I'm going to leave my bag, if I may.
You may indeed.
And
has it got anything precious in it?
It won't have. No, it won't have.
Okay.
And it won't.
I won't get excited then.
Importantly, it won't have my wig. I've told you the story of my wig.
No.
I was across the way on a Friday. This is going back a while now, because a barrister's wig is quite important to them. It's like Billy's boots. You don't remember Billy's boots? It was in a kid's comic, and it was that this young footballer could only play well when he had this old set of boots that he wore, and without those, he wasn't the same player. Now, I considered my wig to be my Billy's boots. So I was across the way on a Friday, and friends said, well, colleagues at least anyway, said, let's go out to the Jugs at Kingston. And this fella agreed to drive us out there. And then I got called back to court. So I went back to court and I quickly did a 2:00 hearing. Dashed out, got into the car, went off and we had inevitably a good lunch. And then come the Monday, because I was part heard in Lewis Crown Court, that means that the case was still rolling on. I couldn't find my wig. And for 18 months, I couldn't find my wig. And then this friend of mine, colleague, I call him a colleague now, he's not a friend anymore. He said, I've just cleaned out my car. And underneath the front passenger seat, I found this, which was my wig. So I borrowed one in the meantime. And but I've got my original one back.
Right. And you were nowhere near as good when you had the borrowed one.
Well, I phoned up Eden Ravenscroft on Chancery Lane are the people who make wigs. There are other people who make them, but I think they have people in Peru who knit them, from what I can see. They're just not the same. And they're all made of horsehair, as you probably know, Keith. And I had a unique number on the inside of my wig, because when I got it in 1990, they'd measure your head round that way, they'd measure your head that way, and they'd say, come back in 6 weeks and we will make you your bespoke wig, sir.
All right.
It was called you sir, even though you're a child. And I phoned them up and I said, well, look, I might need a new wig. Can I come in for a fitting? And they said, we don't do that anymore. It's all off the rail. So we've got loads of wigs, and come in and try a few of them on.
Yeah.
I didn't really like that idea.
No. The idea of a bespoke wig is a wonderful concept.
And as a consequence, I borrowed, because very, very occasionally, court clerks have to wear wigs if they're swearing in magistrates, or they're sometimes dealing with High Court judges. It depends on what the High Court judge's view is. So I borrowed one of those, which it was a horrible thing. Let me go and get that wig, Keith, because it seems to me that that's something that your viewers would want to see.
I had to take a look at. Yes, indeed. Well, it's always good to see Richard, but the fact that we're able to stay so much up to date, as he pointed out when we first started, Lewis is quite unique. It's got a Crown Court, it's got a prison, and it's got the police headquarters for Sussex. So that combination makes it, as far as crime is concerned, a very important centre and a unique one. No other town has got that in the whole of the county, east or west. Am I correct in that?
Absolutely correct in that, and I think you might even be correct in saying that there isn't another. I suppose Peterborough has a prison, but that's on the outskirts. To actually have a court and a prison so close together. Woolwich has that, but as I may have told you, Woolwich was built very badly on marshland. And so they thought, this is a good idea. We'll have a court, which is falling apart, frankly. And we'll have a prison next door, and then we'll have an underpass between the two so that you don't need to take the van. And the underpass just floods all the time. Anyway.
You have to swim from one building.
Yeah, exactly. They give them rings for their arms too. Anyway,
let us see your wig.
Well, would you mind taking your hat off for a moment? And there we go.
Oh gosh. Oh, do I look imposing? Oh, send him down. Oh, well, I'm very privileged to have had your wig on my head, I must confess. Yeah. I might go and buy one myself and walk around the streets of it.
Well, if you wanted to buy one, they're actually rather expensive.
Are they?
Yes.
Oh, dear.
When I bought this, it was about £300.
Wow.
and there are a lot more. And in fact, bits of it have fallen off. So those things there used to have little nice bits like this on them. The front is falling apart.
Well used, though.
Well, as I may have told you, the worst insult that you can give to a barrister is that you're a whitewig. In other words, you've got a brand new wig. You're not experienced. So the older the wig, the better. When my wife practiced in crime, she's now a family lawyer, and they don't wear the wigs and the gowns in the family courts. When she practiced in the Crown Court, and she did for a while, she was very successful. She had a wig that she'd inherited from a local judge, and she had safety pins holding it together. And so when she turned up at court, people thought that she was incredibly experienced because she had such a very old wig. Whereas, of course, she wasn't. And I think she only ever did 2 Crown Court trials in her life. But there we go.
Yes. Who's the American lawyer who actually wore a frock coat and pince nez that just had plain glass in them, because he actually just did it for effect?
Just did it for effect.
Yes.
Well, we all, the whole thing about being a barrister is that you're a frustrated actor, if truth be told. No. So any affect like that is something that people are very keen to adopt.
Well, dare I say it, that us journalists, is we're all frustrated barristers.
There's a pecking order. Keith, I'm going to love you and leave.
It's good to see you, as always, and we'll see you on Friday, I hope.
I hope so, yes. Yep. Certainly Philip's ready for that, and I'll just have to see how my...
Yes. Well, perhaps we can put in a request to the judge, could we, to say on Friday, could he start court late? Knowing
my judge, I think she would deal with that in a very frosty way, I have to say.
Oh, well, in that case, we won't embarrass you.
Lovely to see you.
Good to see you too. Okay, let us go back to our papers, a review of the papers. A nice little trip to the Crown Court there in between. So I think that we were we started with the Daily Express. We went on to the Times with a green quango, blamed for blocking new homes, and now let's take a look at. We're now into a couple of the other things. I think that we had moved on to the Mail, who revealed a plot to drive out an equality chief who's standing up for women. That's correct, yes. And it says that staff at the Equality Watchdog, the Equality and Human Rights Commission, have been accused of trying to oust Chairwoman Baroness Faulkner over her stance on transgender issues. The paper says a dossier of more than 40 complaints against the peer has been compiled, but that some within the organization think she is being targeted because she backed legal reforms guarding the rights of biological women in single-sex space, such as hospital workers, hospital wards, and toilets. Well, that seems to me eminently sensible. And if I may say so, if you actually look at me, look at that, you see, quite old. So in some ways, a Luddite. And if I may say so, I am really getting fed up with the fact that we've got a whole generation that whinge. Instead of getting on with it. And these transgender people are the worst of the lot. Goodness gracious me. Why are we giving in to it, all this nonsense? Get on with it. Life is not fair. It is not easy. Have to it. And whinging and insisting that rules are changed just to suit you is not a pretty sight. And it is not, in my view, something that we should be supporting. So there. Now you know where I stand on the issue. Right. Okay. Now, where are we next? Maddie, the cops searched the lake. The Mirror is taking that in its front page, and it doesn't vary much from the. Let's see. Yeah, it just doesn't vary much at all. It says the operation is the first major search for Madeleine in 9 years. The paper says that the prime suspect in the case, convicted sex offender Christian Bruckner, described the reservoir as his little paradise. Right. Well, if it's that sort of paradise, I don't think we want to know. Let's see here is the Star, and the Star normally manages to find some a different way of expressing the stories. It never follows the crowd, but on this one it has, and that's how seriously the whole of the British media is taking this story. It carries a picture of the remote lake and another of a number of police around a tent at the site of the search. Right, okay, let's see where else we've got. We've got the Financial Times, which the FT takes a different approach, has indeed handed a record 1.2 billion European fine over transatlantic data transfers. The Financial Times says the fine is handed to Meta, the owner of Facebook, by the European Union over alleged violations of rules requiring safeguards for transfers of personal data to the United States. The paper says the company has been given 5 months to suspend such transfers, though adds that it is expected to appeal against the decision. Well, there we are. About time somebody took on one of these media giants. Right, thousands of hospital staff report claims of sexual abuse by patients. Well, now there's a turn up for the books, because normally it is the other way around. The Guardian says an investigation has found that thousands of hospital staff are reporting claims of sexual assaults and harassment by patients. The paper says that more than 20,000 incidents of sexual violence and misconduct, including rape, assault, and stalking, went recorded by 212 NHS trusts in England in the 5 years to 2022. Deba Syed, a senior legal officer at the Rights of Women helpline, also tells the paper that the organizations hear worrying reports of women feeling pressure into not raising formal grievances following incidents. So in other words, when they're interfered with, they don't dare say anything. And that's a dreadful situation. Number 10 leaves Braverman waiting on her future. Well, now we're back to the scandals. Dear. They can't leave the scandals alone, can they? Let's see. The eye goes back to Braverman and her speeding ticket. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is under growing pressure to act. Over reports, Home Secretary Suella Braverman asked civil servants to arrange a one-on-one speed awareness course for her. What's wrong with that? The paper says Sunak has delayed a key decision to launch an ethics inquiry into the claims, but that he is irritated with the row because it has overshadowed the G7 summit. That is the summit of the 7 most powerful Western nations and the richest. I forget where the G7 was it Tokyo? I think it was. Right. Okay. If she's broken the ministerial code again, she has to go, says the Independent. Oh, yeah. It is amazing that we keep on getting this stuff that bounces back all the time. And the Independent, does it have any different spin on it? No, I don't think so. In fact, I'm not sure that we even have got a précis of what it has to say. No, we haven't, strangely enough. So let's go back to what the main headline is, and that is Madeleine McCann. She is the body of the little girl which went missing while on holiday, and is assumed, even though no body has been found, it was assumed to have been lifted by a paedophile, and then eventually, of course, murdered. But there we go with Madeline, with Maddie. Okay, the Metro goes along with that, and what did we miss out? The Telegraph, I think. The Telegraph takes a different tack as well. It says that the City of London, which has always been a leader and important to the UK economy in financial services, has lost a top spot, and it's calling upon various groups to actually do something about it. I don't have the background, I don't think, to that story. Oh, yes, I do. Here it is. And it says the head of Britain's biggest investment company has said London is falling behind rival financial centres because of over-regulation and misguided political intervention. Speaking to the paper, Sir Nigel Wilson, the chief executive of Legal and General, which manages 1.2 tons of trillions, of savers, 1.2 trillion pounds, right? Okay, of savers' money, says the country largely missed out on the technology boom of the early 2000s and risks being left behind again because it is failing to help fledgling businesses raise money or float on the stock exchange. So that's basically the papers. We've taken us with a nice little intervention from Richard Barton to 8:59, and we now take we take a break for half an hour, and yes, there we are. I'm just looking to make sure that we're going out all right, and we seem to be. So for the moment, bearing in mind that the main thrust this morning has been about the new search for Madeleine McCann, and I think perhaps everybody wants closure on this one. Will it happen? Who knows? Okay, It's 9 o'clock. We'll be back at 9:30, and we'll be picking up on a couple of things, and we'll have something different for you anyway. All right. Toodle, toodle, pip.